Golf, Uniform, Foxtrot Charlie Bravo, hello to you. 20 news, right hand circuit, the QNH is 1018.
20 right hand, QNH 1018, Golf Charlie Bravo.
It's a lovely day here in the southeast of the UK as I depart on runway 20 at North Weald and climb away in the little Piper Sport into a blue sky scattered with small fluffy clouds with a bit of a crosswind. But apart from that, it's the perfect flying day. As I bank left and head away from the airfield to the east, things are about to take a turn for the worst.
Remember 224 Charlie Echo, hello to you, when you sound 5, it's 20 news, right hand circuit, the QNH is 1018.
The circuit breaker for the aircraft's electrical power has just popped, yet I haven't seen it and there's no apparent indication that there's a problem. Yet.
It's a warm day.
Low.
And remember 4 Charlie Echo, do you need an airways clearance?
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks. Should be good to go in about 10 minutes. Remember 4 Charlie Echo.
Low voltage.
Roger.
Oh.
Finally, the low power warning comes over the audio alert and the EMS or engine management system has caught my attention at last.
Low voltage. Shit.
Our maintenance organisation are just 10 minutes flight time from the airfield I've just taken off from. So do I try and fly there to get it checked out, or should I return to North Weald, just a couple of miles behind me?
Yeah, there's an issue. Okay, everything's on, landing lights on. Power's on, let's get back to the field. North Weald radio, Golf November Juliet, Charlie Zulu.
Go ahead.
Just out, just a few miles to the east. Going to turn back, got a slight technical problem, so I'm going to need to come back and land.
Roger, do you need any assistance?
No, it's alright, it's a low voltage. Still okay at the moment, but I'll keep you informed. So, can I join left base for 20?
Yeah, if there's just one Cessna inbound.
Charlie Zulu.
I've always said to myself that if a circuit breaker pops for an unknown reason, I would push it back in, but just the once. If it went again, there's obviously a very good reason for it, and it should stay out until the reason has been determined.
Golf Charlie Zulu is now established left base 20.
Roger, surface wind 240 degrees, 16 knots, recent gust up to 21 knots.
Charlie Zulu.
The breaker that's tripped is the biggest one at 20 amps, and whatever's caused it to go must be pretty powerful. So I nervously push the breaker back in. Immediately the warnings vanish and all appears okay. You can also hear that annoying background hiss come back with the alternator now energising the system.
Golf Charlie Zulu, actually, I think I might have sort of got pushed in the breaker and it seems to be okay. I'm going to go just keep close to the circuit and just check it out. So I will be going around. It is a left base join, but I'll be going around. Golf Charlie Zulu.
No, that's all copied.
I decide to go around, and I'm now thinking if I can get the aircraft to our maintenance base just a 10-minute flight away, that might be the easiest option.
And Golf Charlie 2, there is one Cessna inbound from the west, not yet in the circuit.
Oh, okay, Charlie Zulu, I'll just go down the runway and then turn left again and try and get to Andrews Field, but just need to keep an eye on it. Okay, no autopilot.
My co-owner had flown the aircraft the day before and had reported an issue with the autopilot, but the problem I was having seemed to be a different one.
Golf Charlie Bravo, any other circuit traffic please?
No, just the sports cruiser, he's just going around and doing an easterly turnout.
Roger, Golf Charlie Bravo.
So let's take a detailed look at what that trip circuit breaker was protecting. The Piper Sport is a simple aircraft with just 14 circuit breakers protecting everything from the electric trim, autopilot to the lights and the fuel pump, but the one that had popped was the 20 amp breaker marked power. Unlike other aircraft engines that generate their electrical power from magnetos for ignition and an external alternator for accessory power, the Rotax 912 has a novel system which is actually built into the back of the engine. Having electronic ignition, the Rotax requires a constant and uninterrupted electrical supply to the ignition modules that must be bulletproof to ensure the engine fires continually. At the back of the crankcase is a permanent magnet on a flywheel, which turns with the crankshaft and excites stator coils inside the case, with separate coils for generating power for ignition and AC power for the aircraft's electronics via a rectifier or regulator and the aircraft's 12-volt battery. It is this accessory power that the 20 amp breaker is protecting. When it tripped, the aircraft's accessory power then reverted to using the battery alone, which is why the low voltage warning was enunciated as the battery started to become depleted. This could mean one of a few things. Either there was an over voltage which tripped the breaker, or there was an issue with the rectifier, or the breaker itself was faulty. Pushing the breaker back in seemed to cure the issue, so it could have been just a spike. Although, as my co-owner had a problem with the autopilot on the previous flight, I was thinking it had something to do with that. My thoughts were, if the breaker popped due to a problem and it was now not tripping, that problem had either gone away or it would recur again. But either way, the circuit breaker was doing its job. If the issue had been a failure of the alternator or any of its components, then there's a likelihood that the engine would just stop. However, when the breaker popped, the engine continued running, which, as well as being a relief, meant there wasn't an issue with the alternator itself. Even with the breaker trip, the engine would be unaffected. However, auxiliary items would now be powered by the 12-volt battery alone. The aircraft's digital avionics will use the battery, but if it were depleted, they do have their own internal batteries, which are good for 15 to 20 minutes. The worst that could happen is that with all electric trim and flaps, should the battery be completely depleted, then I could be left without these. However, the draw on the 12-volt main battery is fairly low and it should last at least 30 minutes pretty easily. Okay, let's get back to the flight.
I'll stay low level. So that's the issue. Hadn't realised it literally took all the power out, so maybe this isn't the right thing to do, but behaving itself at the moment.
Although the flight was only a 10-minute little hop, I was routing via a farm strip I knew halfway, so if there had been an issue, I would have landed there. I was also preparing to put the aircraft in a field if the worst happened, and stayed low and clear of built-up areas so that I could get the aircraft down quickly. Remember, we only need around 300 metres or 1,000 feet, and pretty much any field would work.
Now Willingale down there. So there's no other airfields now, but there's plenty of fields.
I'm constantly looking for landing fields as I fly en route, and I'm assessing the wind direction.
North Radio Golf Charlie Zulu, just a few miles to the south of Anderson. I'm going to go over to them on 123530.
Roger, take in and 6 back.
The breaker has stayed in and there's no signs of any problems yet. But little did I know, this was not the end of the saga. I'm getting close now, so make a standard initial call to Andrewsfield.
Andrewsfield Radio, good afternoon. Golf November Juliet Charlie Zulu,
Golf Charlie Zulu, runway 27 left, right hand circuit, QSE 1007, QNH 1018, squawk 7010.
27 left, right hand circuit, and 1018 on QNH. I'm just a few miles to the south airfield in sight, inbound from North Weald, and be joining crosswind for 27 left.
Golf Charlie Zulu, roger.
They're using 27 left, a 799 metre or 2,620 feet grass runway, which will require going around the complete PAM. I would have preferred a straight in approach, but all seems okay, so I'm happy to continue.
Golf Charlie Zulu's just joining crosswind for 27 left.
Golf Charlie Zulu, roger.
So, established on crosswind, and as I start my turn onto the downwind leg, the breaker trips again.
Okay, noise sensitive area there.
This time it stays out, I'm not pushing it back in again.
Right, brakes are off, undercarriage is down, fixed, mixed, it's gone again, look. Gone permanently.
I cut my downwind leg short and turned towards the field early.
Charlie Zulu's right base, 27 left.
Voltage low.
Have I got any flaps? Brilliant.
Initially I thought I'd lost the flaps, but they actually were working, and maybe it was that they were just being a little bit sluggish on battery power alone. However, the runway is more than long enough to land flapless.
Okay, brakes are off, undercarriage is down, fixed, mixture, we've got fuel pumps on. Fuel's sufficient for go around, although we don't want to go around, because we've got no power.
Voltage low.
Can't even push it back in.
And after an eventful 12-minute flight, I'm down safe and sound. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for choosing to watch this video. And if you find this kind of real world content interesting or entertaining, it would mean a lot to me if you would kindly drop me a like and subscribe. It also lets me know that I'm presenting my content in a way that you like. Thank you so much, I really do appreciate it. Now let me tell you what was causing all the issues. So what was the problem? The engineers thoroughly checked everything electrical on the aircraft and they couldn't find an issue. However, on examining the breaker itself, it was clear there was a fault with it. The small microelectronics in the breaker assembly had suffered corrosion internally and it was causing the breaker to trip sporadically. So a day in the workshop for checking and a new breaker cured the problem. I'm expecting some comments that will question my thought process with regard to carrying on the flight in an aircraft with an electrical fault. However, I knew what that breaker was protecting and I knew that the engine would remain unaffected. I also knew that there was enough battery to fly the aircraft for a short time with all aircraft systems being unaffected. I suppose the thing to take from this experience is one of know your aircraft inside out. That way you can determine what course of action you should take in any failure scenario. Thank you so much for watching. This video is obviously for entertainment only and I'm not an instructor. Fly safe and short field out.